I told this story a million times. Eli Roth is a kid who was, I think he was at NYU. When I was shooting Private Parts, his job was to sit outside my room all night, make sure nobody made any noise. That was his primary function. Because Gary goes, he says, well, one of his functions was not to make sure that there was no noise. And I go, no, that was his only function. And he sat, there he is, and he sat outside my door, writing a script.
Oh, my God, does he look Hollywood now?
Yeah, he's gone Hollywood. He creased his hair
I
up.
didn't even recognize him out there.
He's all Hollywood.
Wait, hang on a second.
Hey, put on those sunglasses.
There you go. Now we're ready.
Now we're Hollywood.
So, hey,
guys, good to be back.
So, Eli,
good to see you.
It's nice to be sitting inside the room as opposed to outside, like I was years ago.
You did a good job outside. You kept things quiet, and that was your job.
That was the job.
Because people said, well, he was really doing security. I go, no, I just didn't want any noise, or I didn't want anybody interrupting me. I needed my sleep. Because, shit, when you're working all morning, and then you're shooting a movie in the afternoon, I just wanted sleep.
Well, and actually shooting a film now, I really fully appreciated what you went through. I mean, everybody knew. And I remember you were like, I'm like the guy in Il Postino. I'm going to drop dead. I'm going to drop dead.
I was exhausted.
Yeah, and, you know, and that's, we actually had a security guy that was there for security. I brought you, like, skim milk and bananas and, you know,
Were you
corn.
at NYU at the time?
I'd actually just finished NYU, and I was kind of working as an assistant.
I mean, I've said this a million times. Eli was so hired on our movie to do that, and then he would sit there with a little book and write longhand the script, and he'd say, yeah, I'd say to him, how you doing, man? And he'd go, hey, I'm writing a script, and I go, yeah, asshole. You know.
Right.
You know.
Never to my face, of course. He's like, hey, Eli, thank you. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's very good. You know, it shows you're industrious. What an asshole.
You remember actually saying asshole.
Of course. I mean, because you know anyone who writes a script, it never goes anywhere.
Well, I mean, that's not totally true. 99.9% of them, though.
Who looked at Eli?
Who knew?
You know, if I knew, I would have optioned.
Yeah, exactly. Who would have been a little, you want to sleep inside? Want to sleep in the bed?
I would have tied this fucker up if I knew he was actually writing something that makes some money.
You'd have Hostel money.
What were you writing?
That was Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever. And Cabin Fever made how much money?
It was, well, $30 million at the box office, another $75 million on DVD.
Wow.
And what did it cost to make?
That's nice.
$1.5 million.
That's what you were busy writing outside my room?
Yeah, that's what I was working on.
Give me that fucking script.
And that's just domestic?
I love that movie, too, by the way.
The dopey kid doesn't give me the script.
That was worldwide.
Should have.
You keep walking by him.
I would have optioned that damn thing if I knew it was going to make
talking to him.
$100 million.
Believe me, it was available. You could have got it for a song. I wrote that script, you know, back then, and it wasn't until 2001 that we shot it. I mean, for years, everybody said, this is terrible, and this will never make money. And, you know, people watch it today, and they still say it's terrible, so it's great.
Well, it made a lot of money. It was about, you know, a guy getting an infection, right?
Yeah, the bunch of kids. It's sort of like an Evil Dead type movie.
Yeah,
It was like
they
an
were all
80s.
at this cabin.
Yeah, it was like a throwback to like the 80s Evil Dead style splat.
Do you only make horror films?
I know. I want to do comedy stuff.
You do?
Yeah. Did you see Grindhouse?
I didn't see Grindhouse. I want to. Is that on DVD yet?
Grindhouse is not out on DVD yet.
It's
They're
in the
trying to put it back in the theater.
If you go on YouTube,
I saw the trailer you made for it. Thanksgiving? Funny as hell.
Was great.
White meat, dark meat, all will be carved.
That was good.
Those parts of the movie were great.
I loved it. I mean, I'm going to do a whole movie of fake trailers called Trailer Trash.
Yeah.
Just totally, like, I have so many ideas for just really, really terrible movies that will just make great bad trailers.
So then after Cabin Fever, you made Hostel 1.
Yeah.
Hostel 1 cost how much to make?
$3.8 million.
And it grossed how much?
$80 million at the box office and another almost $200 million on DVD.
See, this is the kind of reputation you want in Hollywood.
Well, yeah, and every low budget used to be a bad word. I mean, the average budget is $80 million.
Right.
So then Hostel, we said, okay, if this movie makes $5 or $10 million, it's a huge hero. And then opening weekend, it made 20 and knocked out Narnia, and we were shocked.
Who did you make that film for, Hostel 1?
We made it independently. And then Sony and Lionsgate picked it up while we were in production on it. They weren't even going to put it in theaters. They showed it to audiences, and people were going crazy, and they thought, okay, there's something
How
there.
did you get the money together to make the movie before you sold it to Sony?
Because I started a production company with some other filmmakers, and we had kind of a fund to make movies, and we had like $3 million together.
Right.
And so we just started production. And then Sony found out that we were going to basically make it for $3 million and kind of just take it to auction and see who wanted it. And Sony said, you know what, we'll buy it for $3.8.
Right.
And so I said, you know what? Okay, and then they basically gave us the paperwork that says they're buying it for $3.8, and then I just increased the budget by another $800,000.
And then you distributed the film through them.
Through Sony and Lionsgate.
Right. Did you think they had any idea it was going to make that kind of money?
Nobody had any idea.
Nobody. They probably figured maybe we'll turn a little profit on it. It'll be a nice little venture.
Exactly. Well, what they do is they basically run, everybody has a value, and they look at my name, and they say, okay, in a worst-case scenario, if this movie goes, straight to DVD, how much money did Cabin Fever make? We could make $5 million. let's give him 3.8. We'll give him 4 for it. Like that's kind of how they do it.
And also, it's very unusual for a director your age to now have his name above the title. And that means when we see Hostel 2, it will say Eli Roth's Hostel 2.
Yeah, well, they do that. They do that in the advertising. In the movie, I just kind of put written and directed by. But in the advertising, they're selling. But the good thing with horror fans is the horror fans know they look for movies by director.
Right.
Like the director is kind of star. You're like, okay, John Carpenter, Tobe Hooper, Wes Craven.
The director is the star.
Yeah, and it's the way that, like, with Quentin Tarantino, the director is the star of the movie. And so a lot of, they just look at the mass appeal that my films have had, and being so kind of at that, extremely violent. It's great.
And you think Hostel 2 is more violent and more horror grotesque than Hostel 1?
Hostel 1 is hard to sit through.
Well, Hostel 2, to make a movie more gross, all you have to do is add another tool and add another body part. And there's kind of no challenge. I wanted to make like Aliens or Road Warrior, a movie that's better and scarier. I'm telling you, the end of Hostel Part 2, nothing's going to touch it. It is the kind of showstopper denouement.
Well, I saw that extended trailer that they were showing last week. That was scary.
Yeah, it's a much better movie. It's better. Bijou Phillips is so awesome in it. And,
cute girl.
Oh, she's fantastic. I did not bone her. I didn't bone any of the girls. The girl I was actually the girl from Hostel 1 became my girlfriend after the movie, Barbara, the brunette. But no, in Hostel 2 there was no boning.
And now you're dating that Rosaria Dawson. I'm not sure which one she is.
I'm not. You know what? It's funny. Like we watched.
That's her?
We walked. That is Rosaria Dawson. That's her at the Cannes Film Festival. She is in Death Proof. So we all went to see, like, a whole gang of us did opening night, and I literally walked out of the Roosevelt Hotel, and I was next to her. I mean, I was going to give her a ride. We were going to go. Everyone was going over to Quentin's house. I was like, oh, I'll give you a ride. I parked up the street, and there's this gaggle of photographers that surround her.
Oh, so you're not banging her?
And so, no, not at all. It was hilarious. It was like, next thing you know, it was in Page 6. I was like, Rosario, this is a great rumor, and let's keep spreading it.
I thought for sure that you're dating some hot, known celebrities because, A, you were voted director with the best physique.
Well, I mean, that's like being voted best dancer at a bar mitzvah, let's be honest. I mean, who's my competition?
But you're in shape. You do work out,
Yeah,
right?
I work out all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're a young guy. How old are you now?
Now 35.
35 years old. You're young. By Hollywood standards as a director, that's young.
Yeah.
And you're in good shape. You got all your hair.
Yes.
I would imagine...
A little too much hair, some people would argue.
I would imagine a lot of actresses would like to get to know you. This would be a very good score for them to have an Eli Roth who's got his name above the title, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So what are you doing? How are you playing this? So do you have one girlfriend? Do you have many girlfriends?
Well, you kind of, I go away to Prague and make the movies. And in Prague, there's like usually I meet a nice Czech girl, and I was actually pretty well behaved. On Hostel 1, it was kind of a frat party.
Right.
We just went berserk. It was like
with what? Extras?
Oh, no, it was like extras, like crazy, just girls that we met. I mean, every night we were going out in Prague and getting phone numbers and going insane. And literally we'd be shooting on set with the extras, getting phone numbers. And it was nuts.
How did you make a movie?
Oh, we did nude casting. No, it was literally like, that was, by the way, that became the very problem. Was I kept getting, like, I was up all night. I kept getting strep throat. And, like, we'd have a 2-day break and I'd go out with 3 girls on a weekend. And then the movie, like, I remember I was on set. And I started falling asleep. And they're like, Eli, what's the next setup? And I woke up and I was like, oh, my God, this is actually affecting the film.
Right.
And I was like, I got to be a monk. And I completely stopped cold turkey.
So now...
And on Hostel 2, I was like a monk the whole time.
Do you hire hot extras on Hostel 2?
You have to hire hot extras because, honestly, I swear to God, I learned this. You need hot extras and you need a couple cute PAs. And people can say it's sexist, but I swear to God, the crew behaves.
Yeah,
the guys, when there are hot extras around,
there's stuff to do.
They're gentlemen, and they're polite, and they're friendly, and everybody wants to show what a great job they can do.
Everybody comes to work, right?
Dude, on Cabin Fever, we had all-guy PAs, and the crew revolted.
Right.
People started going crazy.
It's an excellent idea. And from working on movies, if the director has any sort of social life during the principal photography, he's not doing his job. There's no way he could.
That is true.
There is no way, and it's a 7-day-a-week.
Ivan Reitman once told me, who was on Private Parts, said to me, the director never gets laid. Never.
He's working all the time.
That's the thing. The director has the least sex out of anybody. And that's genuinely true. Even when I made Cabin Fever and I was editing, it was like a year and a half that I went.
So what do you need to do, like jerk off before each work day?
I try, but, it's like I share an apartment with my brother, and it's,
You do?
Yeah, I do.
You must have a lot of money, right?
Well, it's starting to come in now, finally.
It's starting to come in.
When
Hostel 1 made that kind of money in Cabin Fever, don't you get a hunk of it?
Well, at Cabin Fever, it's amazing where the money goes, and we're auditing the company. I mean, it's just the money. You can't believe where it goes, you see these statements, and it's like, wow, the movie cost $3.8, made $80 million, you owe us $700,000.
Right.
And they're like, no, we're holding money for video reserve for returns.
Oh,
and
my
basically,
God.
from the time the movie comes in theaters, it's about 2 years till you really start to get paid.
So what about Hostel Part 1? I mean, that made hundreds of millions.
Yeah, and I'm supposed to get paid basically for that in October.
Really?
And that's actually kind of an accelerated pay schedule.
And what do you think?
And
is
Hostel
gonna
2 will
be-
get paid. Hostel 2 will get paid a little faster.
You own parts of these films, right?
Yes, I do.
Like the
I
numbers.
don't believe what you're telling me. You're telling me
it's unbelievable. You would not. Nobody believes. That's what's so funny. Is you
do
think
you
like
need a couple of bucks? I could
I was
live.
going to say, what
I'm
kind of car are you driving? No.
I'm driving the same car I've been for the last 7 or 8
Well,
years.
what's your upfront, without getting into details, your upfront money to direct Hostel 2 is way more, right?
Actually, my
I'd hope
upfront money on Hostel 1, I paid myself $10,000.
Holy shit.
Because the movie was so violent, I wanted to keep the cost low, and I was like, just enough money to cover my rent. Hostel 2, I cut my salary and have to put more money into gore and special effects.
But, Eli, the numbers you just quoted us, just say Hostel 1, right? You're talking about a profit of around $100 million.
At least.
You say
Yeah.
you're going to get paid in October.
Yeah.
Again, like, what do you think's coming in October? Is it major money? It's got to be, right?
It'll be major money for
Several
me.
$million.
Yeah, it'll be several $1 million.
Right. Yeah, and you deserve
So
it. I
then
mean,
you'll be
Thank you.
okay.
Yeah, then I'll be okay. No, I'm okay now. Believe me, I'm not
we can love
starving.
you
I'm doing
so much.
fine. No, I'm okay.
Have you been banging major actresses? Like,
No.
did you get a Cameron Diaz at this point?
You know, I think if I went after someone like that, I possibly could, but I'm really not interested in it. You know, I've noticed that with the major actresses,
Too much trouble.
there's
Come on. You're a young guy.
guys.
You're gonna
I'm
wait.
interested in that kind of
Let me
You're
trouble.
tell
going to
ya.
wait like Robert Rodriguez until after you have a family to get
No.
This
I mean,
is
like,
such bullshit.
honestly, but you go to Prague, the Czech girls are so beautiful. They're
Okay, but
unbelievable.
but they're not Hollywood act. Like, they have a Cameron Diaz. That's got to be great.
Yeah, but it's not. You think these actresses are so high maintenance, and honestly, you have to pay so much attention to them.
Maybe you're right.
That, do you know what it's like? It's like, okay, yeah, you're having sex with a girl, and you're both watching yourself in the mirror. But then, like, you stop, and she's still watching herself in the mirror. It's not, do you know what I mean? There's a
Gotta
difference.
end at some point.
Go to Iceland, and it's like a whole country full of beautiful girls that love to get drunk, and they go crazy, and
have fun.
that's where the fun girls are.
And they're just as hot as any Hollywood actor.
They are hotter than the
Hotter.
Hollywood actresses because they don't need tons and tons and tons of makeup before
We
they
just
look
had a
that
regular
hot.
girl. I mean, okay, granted, she's waitressing. I mean, she's fucking hot.
Howard, let me tell you something. I
I'm
was
not
about to say that. We've had 3 chicks in here in the last month that I feel are hotter than Cameron Diaz. Today we had one, Gary's girl. I agree with you. Hotter than Cameron Diaz. And no baggage at all. I know what he's talking about. I mean, look. To get more famous, like Ashton Kutcher did something real smart. He made himself an A-list celebrity by dating it. But if you got
Yeah, but he's
talent
got to
like
bang
Eli...
a 50-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, Eli's got some talent. Fuck it.
I like normal girls. Do you know? You know what it is? It's like you work.
Ashton Kutcher's Ashton Kutcher, but guess what? He's banging fucking old news.
By the
Yeah,
way,
but I think it
Am
made
I
him,
right?
He made him
Yeah.
famous,
Right.
though. It made
I
him
know.
way
He
more
is
famous.
famous.
Hey,
I know.
I read a quote from you. You said in one of your films you would love to chop off Kate Hudson's head.
oh, that was a joke. Actually, not really. It'd be kind of
Because all the
serious.
movies are so bad.
Well, honestly, I mean, you get stuck on an airplane. I want to jump when Raising Helen's on. I mean, what's your choice?
When Raising Helen is on, do you go like, you know what? I want to cut this broad's head off.
Yeah, I was like, this should be called Uggs the movie. I'm like, what is this film?
It doesn't mean anything, that film, right?
Oh, and the Kate, you just
Nothing she does.
And
mean
Emma,
anything.
it's just, yeah. I mean, I'd like her. Look, she's fine and almost famous. And, you know, Kurt Russell, I don't want him to beat me up for saying this because I love Kurt Russell. But, you know, Kate Hudson, I would genuinely chop her head off.
Hostel 2 is coming out, what, this weekend?
Yeah, Friday.
And who's your competition?
Owen's Friday. Ocean's 13.
I didn't like it.
Hey,
I
what
saw
did you
Ocean's
say
11.
About Ocean's 12.
I saw Ocean's 11. I didn't like it. I never understood it. I couldn't understand why anyone would watch it.
I like the first one.
And 12, I didn't even bother to see.
Let me tell you about part 12. I actually had a fun time at Ocean's 11. I thought it was great. So I went to see Ocean's 12, and I was like, do you know what? The heist in this movie is they took everyone's money. They took the public's money.
Right.
I'm like, this is terrible. This is like watching the Smug Pack. Are we paying rent on George Clooney's villa in Tuscany? I was like, I expect better from those guys, and I expect better from Steven Soderbergh.
Right.
So I was disappointed.
I expect this movie just me paying to watch them have fun.
I'm
Yes,
a little tired
exactly.
of how good friends
well,
they
here's
are.
the thing.
so-
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. If you take a date to see Ocean's 13, and I'm sure it's a fine movie, and they know 12 sucks, they make a better film, your date's going to be looking at the screen going, you're not Brad Pitt. And then they look at you and you're like, you're not George Clooney. But you go to see Hostel, and you're like, that is the scariest, ugliest, creepiest guy I've ever seen.
Yeah,
thank God I'm with you. you. Exactly. I'm going to grab your hand. I'm going to grab your arm. I don't want to go. I don't want to go home alone. Girls never want to go home alone after a horror movie. Then you put on Willy Wonka and you close the deal.
That's a good marketing strategy.
I'm telling you, it's a date movie.
So you're not. What do you think? What do you think the movie will gross?
Well, I mean, there's two kinds of gross. I think it'll be gross in the disgusting kind of way. Look, I hope it does well. I hope it does what the first one did. Right. That would be great. I think I think it's a better movie.
Is anticipated.
I think the word of mouth in this one will be much stronger than the first one. I really got to watch the first one with audiences and see what worked, what didn't work. And I'm telling you, the end of this movie, I don't care how much money. Spider-Man cost $350 million in special effects, and I heard people leaving the theater going, that sucked. I don't care how much money this movie spent or what movie stars. Nothing will have the ending we have. You're going to love it. It's so... I like
Bijou. How naked do you get her in that?
Not as naked as you'd think.
Right.
But we do have other naked girls to compensate for not having Bijou naked.
Yeah, I like Bijou.
Heather Matarazzo.
Bijou is
does some nudity. Yeah. From Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Very nice.
She looks great.
You're talking about Wiener Dog?
Wiener Dog.
Wiener Dog is naked?
Yep. She shows
That's good. Criminal.
Dude, I know.
You should go to jail.
That's the thing is people watch the movie, they see Beaver Phillips, but let me tell you, Heather is gorgeous. And she hides it, and she keeps it a secret. I'm like, Heather, honestly,
How did she do that?
She came in the audition, I'm like, Heather, I want to bang you.
Wow.
And she goes, oh, my God, really? I'm like, Heather, you realize that you're going to be hung upside naked? Like, you're going to be upside down naked in this movie. She goes, that's why I want to do it. You want to see me naked? I'm like, I want to see you naked, and I really want to bang you. She's like, oh, Eli. She's so great.
Howard, I'm looking at a picture of her in the Daily News right now. I think this gay crasher thing. And she's laughing in a way, you're going to call me a jerk-off. She's laughing in a way, she kind of looks like Kate Beckinsale.
Let me see.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Why?
Wiener Dog grew up hot.
Let me tell you, we call her Heather Matarazzo. She really is, and she's fucking sexy, too. The girl is sexy.
Oh, I didn't know that was her.
Yeah.
She looks good.
Dude, her body is sick.
How did that happen?
Let me tell you, she did yoga, she got in shape, she knew it.
That awkward stage.
That's fucked
She
up.
got way past that.
She always was wanted. That kid in Welcome to the Dollhouse wanted to rape her.
Yeah, exactly.
When Wiener Dog walks in, you didn't recognize her, and you said, hey, this is just a hot chick?
Well, no, she flew from New York to Los Angeles to audition, and I love Welcome to the Dollhouse, and I was so excited that she wanted to do that movie. I remember listening to her on your show.
Yeah.
And so I was so excited that she wanted to do it, and I walked in, and I'm like, oh, my God, she is hot. I'm like, Heather, you're really fucking sexy.
Hey, Kyle, you're on the air in Orlando.
Hey, now. Hey, you guys, you never banged any other chicks? Famous chicks at all? I mean, even before you started directing movies and stuff?
Honestly, no. The famous chicks, no. I just went after hot chicks.
You never banged a chick you worked with?
Well, I mean, girls that I worked as production assistants and other extras and stuff like that. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Let's go to Stephanie. Stephanie, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, Howard.
Hi. What's your question?
Hi. No, I don't have a question. I just wanted to make a comment to Eli about Hostel 1.
Yes, Stephanie.
I wanted to say that I went there to the theater to see it, and my husband had his eyes hooked to the screen the whole time while the naked breasts were flashing. And then as soon as the scary part started, he had his hands over his face the entire rest of the movie. So I can't wait to see Hostel 2, and I think it's a brilliant marketing strategy with the girls going home scared, but it worked in the opposite direction for me.
I'm glad to hear that, and Stephanie, you'll be pleased to know there's a lot of sausage in this movie.
This
movie has more male nudity than all the Harvey Keitel films combined.
Were you always into horror films?
Always. I was 8 years old, I saw Alien, I was like, I want to be a horror movie director.
You threw up at Alien, didn't you?
Well, yeah, that was a problem I had. I puked when I saw Alien, and then I actually saw The Exorcist, and I puked, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I puked, and finally I saw Outland in the theater, and the heads exploded, and I was running down the theater, projectile vomiting on people. My parents were like, you can't see horror movies anymore, because you can't, but you can't psychosomatic. I just got scared that I was going to puke, so I puked. And then I remember they wouldn't let me see Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that was like Star Wars, and I was like, well, I got to see it, and they said, no, people's faces melt, and I said, I promise I won't puke. I remember holding it in and holding it in and holding it in, and the faces melted. I was like, I didn't puke.
Yeah, you see, you grew up.
And then look what happened now. And then when Hostel 1 came out, people were running out of the theater, projectile vomiting. There were photos of it on the internet. It was awesome.
Is it hard writing a movie?
It's the hardest thing in the world.
You got to lock yourself in a room and do the thing.
Yeah, I do. Do you know what? It was Tarantino who got me writing longhand. I remember I was sitting outside your door long. It was before laptops, but now, you get used to the laptop. But Tarantino's like, my pen is my antenna to God. He's like, you got to fucking write longhand, man. Right. Longhand. And so I started writing in a notebook.
But you did when you sat outside my studio.
I did, but then I got into the computer and it was before laptops, really. I mean, laptops, nobody really had them then. And then so... And so I would, sit there and I'd write and I'd write and I'd write. And the sequel is tough because you got to give people what they want, but you got to give them something new. But fucking everything's been done before.
Right.
And then when I talk to the ratings board, and then you have to get your movie through the ratings board, they're like, Eli, we don't even know what to compare this to because we've never seen this. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm running out of body parts, guys.
So what do you do? So where's your inspiration come from? What do you like? How do you think of more gory shit to do that hasn't been seen before?
You know, just look at the shit that's going on in the world. Look what people have done throughout history. Walk into any museum of medieval torture in Europe, you can't fucking believe the shit the church came up with that they did over 250 years.
Yeah.
They'd have a guy upside down, legs spread, and take a two-ended saw and slowly saw them in half.
The church did that.
The church did that because there were witches, and because the Bible said, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." So the church said, "We got to get rid of the witches." Now, it's like anthrax would basically make a cow's udders bleed, and they had no way of knowing what that was. So they assumed it was witches because the Bible said so, and they would saw people in half and have them upside down specifically so you'd stay conscious longer.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. Or they have like a pyramid that would like sit on you'd stick it like. Called the Judas Cradle. You would sit on it, on this pyramid that would go in your ass, and you'd have ankle weights on, and basically over 2 days would slowly pull you down. And I mean, like, you couldn't even film it. There's nothing like that in the movie, but it's like, you look at the stuff that people actually really did to each other, it's unbelievable.
So that's what, you don't even need to be all that creative. You can write a horror film.
Just go to one of those museums.
Go to church.
Yeah.
Exactly, go to church, exactly. Go to the Museum of Torture. Yeah. And they're in every city in Europe.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool. I wish you luck, man. I'm very happy for you. It's very exciting to know someone who was sitting there scribbling outside my door making a success of himself.
And I got to say, you know, even though you call me an asshole behind your back, you're always so nice to me. No, and every other movie, people were like, "Oh, you worked with Howard Stern." I'm like, guys, honestly, I worked on probably 150 different movies. I worked on Meet Joe Black. I got all these different films. Nobody was as nice as Howard was, and it was the most fun working on Private Parts.
I was actually kind of fascinated by Eli. I thought it was kind of really cool that I didn't call him an asshole. I was really kind of taken that he was using his time
while he sat there instead of just sitting there.
And the guy would stay up all night writing this movie, and I was like, you know, that's admirable. Most people would just sit in the fucking chair and sleep.
Here comes the bullshit. He's successful now.
No. He was really cool. By the way, Howard always asked me how the writing was going, and we talked about every day.
What's going on?
He was goofing on you. How's the writing going?
No,
you can't win with this group. You know,
tough room.
See Eli Roth's Hostel 2 opening Friday in theaters everywhere. It is gorier, more disgusting.
It's going to have the movie ending. It's going to blow away every other ending of the other movies.
When does it get reviewed? Does it get reviewed this Friday?
Yeah, there's already a review up on Ain't It Cool News with some spoilers. It's amazing. I mean, the reviews are incredible. Friday.
They'll be in the paper.
They'll be the reviews.
Are you becoming a better director now that this is your third big film?
Oh, yeah. I watch my movies with audiences over and over, and I see what works, and I really feel like I've gotten better each time.
All right, that's good. That's good. Eli Roth's Hostel 2 opening Friday in theaters everywhere. Got to take a break. We'll be back right at... Who's the biggest prick you ever worked with?
Oh, God. Jesus, there were so many pricks. Raquel Welch was fucking out of her mind on Central Park West. She was so nuts. I remember the show was canceled. It was in the 11th month. She was screaming for her apple juice. And they're like, and I was the assistant. They were like, Eli, you got to get apple juice. And I went in the elevator and I ran upstairs and they're like, where's the fucking apple juice? I'm like, on food. And I ran across the street to the market and I'm like, they're like, what's fucking apple juice? I'm like, there's Red Cheek, there's Martinelli's. What do we do? Like, get the fucking apple juice, get that fucking apple juice. And literally, like, the rap party had already started and she was on set going, I'm not shooting out my apple juice. And I got it and I had to run and run and run. Like, I remember running. They're like, don't wait for the fucking elevators, run. And I had to run up like 12 flights of stairs. And I was like, here's your apple juice. And she's like, it's cold. I was like, just like you fucking frigid bitch.
You had a lot of shitty jobs on movies.
I had so many shitty jobs. That's why Private Parts was so fun. When I had the job, when they were like, Gary wants to shoot this thing in the snow with these girls, and I had to walk all those strippers from the trailer out to Gary.
Not so bad.
And then then they were taking their clothes off, and I had to walk them back. It was so much fun.
I got beat. I had the shittiest job in movies ever, Eli. I got you beat.
What's that?
I was an actor in Mystery Men.
Oh, my God. Wow.
That's pretty bad.
That's a bad one.
I'd rather get apple juice than Raquel Welch.
I got fired for being a bad stand-in on Meet Joe Black.
Really?
I was so bad. Martin Brest was such an this is the worst job ever. Because, you know, you have to stand and be like the same height as the actor.
Right.
So I knew the assistant directors, and I got on, but I was like an inch shorter than the guy.
Which actor?
It was Jake Weber, who's in Dawn of the Dead. And
all right.
So I was like an inch shorter than him, but the first shot was a walking shot. So the DP's like, can you make yourself taller? And I kind of perched up, and he's like, can you walk? And I started doing this sort of tiptoed, like a T-Rex kind of walk, and the director walked by and goes, "Who's that guy? He is one untalented stand-in. Fire him." And they fired me for being an untalented stand-in, okay? So get this. And then afterwards, this is Martin Brest, the director of Gigli, fires me for being untalented.
Oh, look who's untalented now.
Well, here's the best part. After that, I needed money so bad that they were like, okay, we can bring you back as a production assistant. We got to hide you. So I was in a little tiny basement room turning the air conditioning on and off for 18 hours a day, and they were like, air on. All right, we're getting ready to roll, air off. Air on. And then I got the call from Ray, and they're like, Private Parts is starting production, and Howard wants to know if you want to come sit out his door. And it's like, you liberated me, literally, from the single worst job I ever had in film business.
That sounds awful.
On Meet Joe Black. It was horrible.
First of all, Meet Joe Black wasn't good.
Terrible.
Number two, this guy
firing a stand-in.
Oh, for Christ's sake, I've never even heard of that.
I never. An untalented stand-in. I'm like, thank you.
You know what that is? That's a director, I think, sensing what he's doing ain't working. Because you don't see that on...
Oh, by the way, there were some great quotes from him. Martin Brest would turn deep and go, "This is the shot that's going to get me the Oscar."
No.
That was the famous quote all the time. On Meet Joe Black. And he was doing 80 takes of Brad Pitt. And then Anthony Hopkins was like, "I'm not a heavyweight. I can't do 80 takes. It's like I'm one of the best actors in the world. You get 5 takes. Sorry."
Yeah, how many times am I going to do this?
18 hours. Martin Brest thought he was Stanley Kubrick.
Wow, what is he doing now?
Now he's Stanley Roper. I think he's a landlord. He hasn't worked since Gigli.
Yeah, well,
and nor should he.
Nor should he.
That's right. So there's a bit of retribution in this, right? I mean, it sounds pretty good.
Yeah, but whatever.
Why don't you do a movie where Martin Brest gets his head chopped off?
Do you know what? I'd like to have him and then cast him and fire him at the last second.
Fire him, say you're not really
talented. Just untalented.
You're not really that
good.
You
just sit and turn the air conditioner on and off.
One thing you said that was... Were you kidding when you said the rap party had literally started for that show?
Oh, Central Park West. We were not finished shooting, but they had rented out a bar across the street, and people were leaving to go to the rap party, and they had another shot, and I was getting the apple juice, and I was like, what the fuck? And everyone was next door, and they were drunk already, so we had to go and shoot this last shot, and it was like 7 people left waiting for this one scene, even though the show was already canceled.
What kind of morale is there on a fucking set when the rap party's going on?
When you're a
PA,
and your job is basically making sure that this big baby, Raquel Welch, gets her apple juice before she goes out and does her next scene.
Yes.
Did you ever say to yourself at some point, you know what, this might not be the right business for me. I don't want to get celebrities apple juice.
Oh, do you know what? I'd say, you know what? This is a test. It's just this is a fucking marathon. And it's literally, it's not whoever's the most talented. It's who's willing to put up with the most bullshit. It's like for you to get to where you are. You had a number of horrible jobs, but you were so focused and just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And you got to kind of enjoy it and look at it. And I always look at everything with a sense of humor. I mean, even when it was like 4 in the morning and 0 degrees, and I was outside Tompkins Square Park, like, trying to stop homeless people from making noise during takes and stuff. Like, you just have to have a sense of humor about it.
Hey, you, homeless guy, shut the fuck up. We're making a movie here.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, thank you so much,
Stop
sir.
asking
Please.
people for food.
I appreciate that. Stop.
Is your next movie going to be adapting a Stephen King novel?
Yeah, I'm going to do you're probably going to be Cell, the Stephen King book Cell.
Is that the one about the telephone?
Yeah, the people get everyone gets zapped with the phone. Everyone on cell phone gets zapped, and they go completely crazy, and civilization totally collapses.
That's a big deal, because a lot of times Stephen King movies, they have a hard time making them into, translating.
I know, and I think the key is don't film the book. Adapt the book and make a movie and do what's best for the movie.
Use the idea of the book.
Exactly. Don't replicate the book. Just take what you love about the book and put it into a great movie.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
And I think I might do that or trailer trash, or maybe both. All my fake trailers.
Now, do the Stephen King thing. I always like those movies. I love Stephen King.
Yeah, I love, The Shining and Carrie and Creepshow. There's so many great adaptations.
I like the one with the cats.
Sleepwalkers?
Yeah, I like that, man.
Yeah, that was fun.
See, I like it. I don't know, man. I'm sure that wasn't well reviewed.
Every mini-series they do of his books, it's great. Stephen King's great. He's a great source.
What was the one where Drew Barrymore goes on fire?
Oh,
Firestarter.
That was cool.
Firestarter.
That was pretty good. Yeah,
see, the problem is after The Shining with Nicholson and Kubrick doing that, it's hard to,
Shining wasn't one of my favorites.
Really, I love it. That's an amazing
movie. Love it.
Yeah, Chris, you're on the air in Philadelphia.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hey now. Yeah, Eli, would you ever consider using Howard for a movie?
I would love to work with Howard in some capacity if it was the right project.
I want to play a monster. I want to be the Scarecrow.
You could have been in Hostel, too.
Yeah, why am I not in Hostel, too? I could have worked with Bijou. I could be the guy. I could be the big roast guy who comes in and bangs her.
I'll be, a client.
Yeah. Yes.
I can see him as one of the clients. One of those
creepy guys. One of those guys with too much money. Money doesn't matter to them, and where they're never happy. Nothing's ever enough.
Absolutely.
I got my tattoo, but You know, it's
I'm
fake.
willing to shave my head for a movie.
Wow.
Are you really? There you go.
Committed to my art if it was the right role.
Talking about box office.
I don't even know if I care about doing another movie. If it was like really cool, I would do it, but I don't give a shit anymore. I mean,
do you know what we could do? We could do, like, in Trailer Trash, we could film the trailer for Fart Man, and then you basically get to shoot the best scenes. And you don't have to make the movie. That's what I'd like to do. That way you shoot it in 2 days, and let's pick our favorite moments, and you feel like you made the movie, and you only shoot the best parts.
That's funny. I would do that.
There you go, the trailer for Fart Man.
That's what I'm saying. Put it in Trailer Trash.
That's funny.
Done.
Because really, Fart Man should have been a trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
Me,
you know what I mean?
It was a funny
Just think of joke. Don't worry about the fucking script. Just go for the gags.
I got the script.
Though it was a funny script, too.
Yeah, it was. But never had the balls to make it.
Let's bring back Fart Man. Why the fuck not?
That's it. Let's go to Dale. One last question for Eli.
Idea. Hey, Eli. How's it going?
Good, Dale. How you doing, man?
All right, good, thanks. Listen, I just wanted to ask you, Jessica Biel has been in a lot of, like, horror movies, or she's trying to be, like, this new horror queen.
Yeah.
Would you ever, put her in a film of yours?
Yeah, I love Jessica Biel. I think she could beat me up, but I love her.
Why not?
Jessica Biel, she's amazing in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think it's one of the reasons that movie works so well.
I think Eli doesn't even need, one of the cool things is he doesn't need a big
stars,
star.
Right?
No, and the thing about horror is the scare is the star.
The director's the star, actually, which is nice for you.
Yeah.
All right, listen, Eli.
Howard.
Hostel 2, man. We're pulling for you, pal. Opening Friday in theaters everywhere. It sounds like it's going to be a winner for you. I really do hope so.
For old time's sake,
Thanks, guys.
Eli, for old time's sake, do you mind waiting for the rest of the show outside? Making sure nobody makes any noise?
I'd be happy to.
Sit outside there, and if anyone bothers me, you let me know, all right?
I'm thrilled. Anytime you need. Happy to.
Good luck, Eli. Eli Roth, everyone. Go see Hostel 2 opening Friday in theaters everywhere. And if you want to see real horror, later today, Robin is getting a colonic.
Oh, yes.
And that's something you should be filming if you want to get in on that with Dr. Ronnie.
That'll be on Howard TV.
Yeah, Howard TV's got that, pal. Oh, sorry. You're not getting that one. Yes, it's Robin's colonic. Watch the 3 inches of tubing going to her asshole.
It's colonic 2.
Colonic. Yeah, forget colonic 1. That sucked. Colonic 2 is great. All right, we'll be back right after these words.